Um, I am doing a video for college for Purdue University Global CM 220 on the Unit 9 assignment, so my video for the Unit 9 assignment, and it is on why masks should be mandatory. I know this is a hot topic right now. All that I ask is please no fighting and please do not be rude, because it's really not necessary as well as I would like to avoid it. I'm just trying to kind of come up with a topic that is modern, one that I think is very important. It is very close to me. I am a cashier and I see a lot of people without masks, and that kind of hurts my heart because a lot of them are, the people that I see are old. There is kind of half and half with old people wearing masks and not wearing masks, and I wear a mask because it's mandated as far as my company, but I want to try to help prevent people from possibly dying, especially because, again, I see a lot of old people. So even if, like, I wear it out in public, even though it's not mandated here, because I'm trying to help prevent other people from getting sick. I don't really care so much about myself, but the others around me. So it is kind of close to my heart in multiple ways. I'm really just kind of speaking about some facts of why a mask mandate would be very good to do. I know it's not what everybody wants to hear, but we're just gonna kind of talk about something more factual. My opinion technically is that masks should be mandated. And this is an opinion that is shared by many. It's just a very hot topic where there is a rival side saying that masks should not be mandated. What I'm doing in this is taking facts and kind of backing up why it would be a good idea. So they have been proven to lower cases. There was a study done where the comparison was a county that was mask mandated and then comparison to one that wasn't. And they also did it by like time frame. So like I want to say like 4 or 5 different like split sections. And so it'd be like, March versus like January, or and then maybe June versus March, like stuff like that. It was split by time and by mandated versus non-mandated. And it's shown that over time, if the masks were worn consistently, which again, mandated, it should be worn, and over time it would actually help lower the cases that were popping up. The numbers were shown to either stay the same as far as like increase, or have a spike in increase in the non-mandated. So that kind of just should prove that masks actually do help prevent people from getting sick, and why technically they should be mandated. Let's see. That's okay. So the biggest thing with this study, is that its consistency is key. Time is going to happen no matter what. Time is going to pass and we'll see either an improvement or, negative effects, no matter what. You wait a little bit, time passes, you'll see something. The thing with this study is consistency. So with a mask mandate, that kind of forces consistency a bit, where everybody should be wearing a mask and keeping consistent mask wearing. That will help lower cases compared to if there's a high number of people not wearing a mask. That will most likely help cause another spike. Recently, actually, as of April 4th, there has been a few different states, including Idaho, where a spike in cases coming back up again. Now, there are a few cities in Idaho where it is not mandated at all. There are a huge number of people that do not wear masks at all. They refuse to, or there are maybe some people that do wear it, but just not very consistently. And that's where consistency comes in to help lower. If you mandated in these towns, with this study as support, it would show either very little cases happening, maybe because of those people that are not wearing masks, or at least very little spikes in cases happening again. So realistically, because of the study, we just need to be consistent with not, going out in public without a mask on. We need to be wearing our masks consistently. Obviously, you don't have to be wearing it in your home. If you are in a city or country or something where you're not very closely packed, you don't have to be wearing it outside. There are places like New York, though, that are very closely packed where a mask would help lower your chances of getting COVID. Because, again, if you're closely packed, there's no 6-foot distance rule. You're going to have more likely of a chance of catching it. Because, again, the CDC guidelines are 6 feet apart. Wear your mask, wash your hands, or at least sanitize them to help prevent you getting it. That also, without it being said explicitly, that also helps others from getting it. And that's kind of the focus as well. It's just not spreading it. Now, I do want to go on more of a sensitive topic, I will say. There was another study I found where there are negative psychological values to the people that are anti-maskers. So, what an anti-masker is basically a person that refuses to wear a mask. Keyword here, refuses to wear a mask. There are people that can't wear a mask because of actual medical conditions. I have heard, though, that a lot of people like asthma still wear their masks because realistically you should at least try, because, again, prevention for you and for others. But there are, I guess, other options like face shields. These people are refusing to wear any of these, and for whatever reason that they have, and so they have been deemed anti-maskers. This is not a term made up by me, this is just a term I'm using because it's also a very well-known term by now, so we're going to use that so you know what I'm referring to. Let's see. So, a lot of, I won't say all because I feel like that is a very harmful generalization, but a lot have a negative based belief that a mandate is an unnecessary force and taking away their freedom. A lot of these people would preach on the amendment saying that it's taking away their freedoms and that a mask mandate should not happen because, like, it's just an unnecessary force. Their freedoms being taken away. And, I mean, mind you, nobody wants their freedom taken away, but when you focus on the actual truth of everything, the government mandates things like masks, for example, for the sake of others or for safety reasons. And realistically, a mask mandate would be for other people's sake, for trying to help everybody in the sense of cutting down COVID cases to the point where we can finally go without masks and we can finally go with more of a normal life, have things open again, have concerts, basically just go back to normal like we all want. These people are not seeing that. They do not see that side of things. They just don't want their rights taken away. They don't want to wear a mask because it would be done against their will, because they just do not want to wear one. This study is focused on the psychological side of things, basically studying these anti-maskers and kind of what their mind processing and kind of what the big picture is of their mind and how it works. Let's see. And it's not exactly a thing that people want to hear, because especially if you're an anti-masker, it technically is kind of an insult, or you're going to view it as an insult. The study done, and I will put sources in so you can fact check. The study done has shown that these people feel the need to be in control, so they just want to feel the control over themselves. They don't want to feel controlled by others. They have a negative reaction to rules, regulations, or persuasion, which was specifically on page 3, and which is a bit worrying, because for mask mandates, it's kind of, again, you can kind of understand where people are coming from with that, but if they have a general, like, negative reaction, or possibly even like a complete avoidance of rules, regulations, and stuff like that, who knows what that's being applied to? As far as, like, you know, maybe they're not driving correctly because the rules don't apply to them. They can drive however they want, so they can turn right on red even though it specifically says not to, and risk a car accident. You know, who knows what this is technically could apply to. For now, it is being applied to mask mandations, mask wearing, and just not wanting to feel controlled, not wanting to really follow the rules and stuff like that because they feel like they don't need to. They view it as a threat against their self-control and their freedom of choice. That basically already has been touched upon in the beginning of, again, I think it's the second right amendment, but basically they have the freedom to not do that because they have that amendment protecting them. So here's where it's the hard part and where a lot of people are going to take an insult. They talk about how their study was found narcissistic and antisocial personality traits is paired with their political conservatism. This is a very hard word. Narcissism is a word thrown around a lot in today's society. Narcissism is usually a complete disdain for others. Narcissistic people tend to not care about others. They usually, everything's about them, and not always in the way that we hear where it's like, oh look, I'm pretty and I have to look at my mirror constantly, which I know is in movies a lot. When I was younger, it is more so just like if you get in a fight with a narcissist, how did that fight affect them? How did that make them feel? How were they wronged? They don't care about the other person in that fight. They don't care about how the other person feels. They don't care about where the other person's coming from. And that can be very dangerous sometimes and hard to work with, of course. But in the sense of this narcissistic personality for mask mandation would suggest that these people essentially only care about themselves and where they're coming from and how they feel about masks. So we've already touched upon how they don't want to because of their freedom being trumped upon, that they don't feel that it's right to be forced into this. Essentially, basically, how it affects them. They don't think about how others might be affected by them not wearing a mask. They don't really think about how, you know, their neighbors might get sick because of them not wearing a mask. You know, how people are more at risk of dying because of that. And so that's kind of just like the general idea of like narcissistic personality and how it's in this certain case. So I'm going to read directly from what I said for this last part. I may repeat myself. This would suggest that people who refuse to wear a mask are doing it with selfish intent, doing it for their own beliefs and comfort. They would not be thinking about the potential to protect others by wearing a mask. A lot of mask wearing is more for the intention of not possibly spreading the virus. It is done with others in mind, the sake of others. This would show a complete disregard to their fellow people. That is kind of the harsh truth of it all, and it's going to come off very attacative. And if my wording is super negative and rude, I apologize. That is not my intention. I'm just trying to take basically what the study is saying and kind of putting it in more of a easier to read way. Because I also kind of just did the basics of the study. I didn't put everything in the study because it was very lengthy and that would not be beneficial in any way. It needs to be more easier to read for others that might see it. So I took the very basics of, well, the people that are involved with this, the anti-maskers, is just their mindset is very negative either way, whether that wants to be seen or not. That is kind of just a harsh truth. My next point is a very sad one, and very extremely negative. You thought the other one was negative. We're going to talk about death and how many people have already died from COVID, or even just COVID complications. So there is people with diabetes and stuff like that that may have gotten COVID and have technically died because of their diabetes. But the reason why, I believe it was the CDC and like all the news and everything like that, it was just everybody was coming out saying that if you have certain health conditions, you need to wear a mask or stay indoors and stuff like that and protect yourself, because COVID can kill you because of the conditions you already have. Because a lot of the time, these conditions that people have ruin their immunities. They make it easier for them to get sick, or maybe their bodies are not strong enough to fight off something like that. And so it was basically said that if you have certain health conditions, please stay indoors, please take care of yourself, because you might die from this. And which is also a reason why it should be huge on wearing masks, because you don't know who's suffering from these conditions. And that's kind of why I'm saying from complications, is because if you get COVID and you have a condition, say like a heart condition, technically yes, you are dying from your heart condition, but COVID has messed up your body, messed up your immunity, messed up maybe your strength, or maybe the way that your body is even just running in general, and is helping kill you. It might not be what has officially killed you, but it has helped kill you. And that has happened for way too many people. I have, let's see. I'm trying to find the specific spot. Although, with that being said, masks and like following the CDC guidelines in general. So again, 6 feet, wash your hands, wear your mask, could have prevented so many people from dying. And that's just really sad that these people could have been living life and happy, seeing their grandchildren, you know, whatever lives that they had before getting COVID. They could have continued that if they were still here. But because of catching COVID and dying from it, they can't do that anymore. Let's see. Guidelines. People, we already went over that. We already went prevention. Yes. Before we get to numbers, we need to go over, and I will kind of read this word for word as well, because it also has the title of the article, one of the articles that I'm using. So I believe it's important to also kind of like cite that. The article, "The Very Real Death Toll of COVID-19, mentions how media coverage has false numbers and that real amount surpasses 250,000 people." So basically, the news, Fox News, CNN, I don't really watch TV anymore. I stopped years ago because of the news. It's always a super negative place. Even like magazines, the People magazine, I don't do magazines. It's basically saying that these coverages and the covering of COVID and the truth of COVID is all been falsified. So they might say how we are getting better, that COVID cases are dropping, even when in reality, that COVID cases might be spiking again. And I'm not entirely sure what the intention for them doing this is. This is not said But it's basically saying that pretty much everything that you might read, if it's just generalized media, public, far spread media, is most likely going to be false, and that the death toll that we have been given is actually been way lower than it is. The CD, I'll probably have to edit this. Okay, so hold on. Sorry, go back. That's the case number. So cases are 30,038,363. That is the cases as far as that date, March 28th. The people dying is 564,144. That is a lot. That is, like that one article said, at least 250,000. Could have prevented that many people dying, because that is way huge of a number. And mind you, this is also in the span of roughly a year, because in 2019 it was sort of December, so wouldn't have been counted because it wasn't like even really technically a full amount. So we're counting 2020 and 2021. So, and a lot of times people started off by saying March 2020 for some reason, so we'll, I guess, go off of that just for easy's sake. And so it's been a year and that many people died. That's a lot, especially for a specific cause. But as of writing that on, again, March 28th, 2021, 871 new deaths were right under that number. So there is a new rise in that. There is a new spike in cases, and this was more of a personal interaction. There is a new rise in Idaho COVID cases again. This was said by Dr. Lindbergh. This was somebody that a doctor in an emergency room that I personally talked to, because I had to go to the hospital and get a bunch of tests done because I was having some issues. They wanted to test me for COVID, which is why it came up. They are trying to be very careful of everything going on, because again, we've already suffered long enough. Many people technically are not suffering anymore. Why? Because they're dead. We could have prevented that just by wearing our masks. Which again is why masks should be mandated, is because if we are all wearing our masks, we can potentially protect people that we might not know need it. So you can't just look at somebody and be like, oh, they have diabetes. You can't just look at somebody and be like, well, they have a heart condition. You can't just look and see that. And so that is why, you know, you wear masks to try to prevent people that might need it, because you won't know just right off the bat. So I found 2 articles that are in other countries. I will say that ahead of time. There was one in India and one in Pakistan. Both of them basically say the same thing, where doctors had a lot of anxiety and fear centered around COVID, because of the way that it was being handled, because of professionals, medicals, you know, politics, the people actually living in the country. They were just very scared about what was going on, how things are being handled. Not much confidence or hope for even a cure. And they were just also being overwhelmed. There was a lot of cases, all of a sudden, a lot of people in the hospital all of a sudden, and a lot of the doctors, and this was like first count, like the doctor sitting down and talking about their personal views and like their personal, like what they were going through at that moment, and they were just getting overwhelmed and they were super scared about it. And that's kind of sad to think about, that these doctors that we trust to handle everything and to help heal us, to help care for us, that they're scared behind the scenes. You know, they try to act confident and, you know, do their job like they're supposed to in front of us, but when they go home at the end of the day, they're scared just like everybody else. Let's see. Oh, so I'm going to read this directly as well. It's going to be more of a lengthy one. Again, I might repeat myself. Just considering the US death toll is scary because of how large it was. That is not even including the other countries involved. Doctors from all over were scared because COVID cases were spreading so fast. The first March we did not know enough, and that was harmful because of no mask wearing. And technically I should put just because of not following the guidelines. One of those is mask wearing. I think I put mask wearing specifically because I am, again, mask mandation is what we're focused on for this project. This last March has been worse because of how high the numbers are for the same reason, no mask wearing. All of these deaths could have been prevented. And that is like, my biggest focus is, for that paragraph, is just because of, it really could have been prevented. Following guidelines, mainly masks, because that is the hugest thing, because again, like, it's from the liquid of your body. It's a lot of it will be, like said, it's the droplets, and so breathing, sneezing, like coughing, a mask essentially is just there holding that in and preventing it from flying out and possibly going into somebody else's face. Mask wearing, this is, this is just also to prevent it, realistically, because if you cough, it's just there to spread, not spread it. When you cough, and this is something that I think COVID is going to help us realize, because of, we're taking it seriously. We're trying to clean things more. There's kind of more science coming out about things. So again, like if you cough, like it kind of just flies out. Apparently, at least for COVID, maybe all like air particles and liquids and stuff coming from your body when you do that stuff. Maybe it is fully just 6 feet for all of it, but specifically for COVID, 6 feet it dies down. We need to stay 6 feet away from each other. We need to wear masks to also take an extra measure, because you cough, it just flies everywhere. Who knows if the person standing next to you is going to have that fly into their face. You have now gotten them sick. Wash your hands, especially because we touch everything. Germs are everywhere, germs are on everything. Who knows what you're touching? Who knows if COVID is on it? So you wash your hands and try not to touch your face, to try to not spread what you may have on your hands onto you, because that, you touch your eyes, it goes, believe it or not, it goes in your body. You touch your nose, that's inside your body, so you can get sick that way, even from not COVID. But COVID is a huge deal. It's a major virus. It has caused a pandemic. It has spread across the world. If it was stuck in one country and it was on a smaller scale, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but we're taking this seriously because it is so big, because it has been literally killer, and we just need to take it more seriously. And with masks, if we just mandate them, we take some time, we take some consistency, and we do all the CDC guidelines that we're supposed to, we can help prevent more deaths, we can prevent more cases, we can slowly over time go back to our normal life. We can stop wearing masks at some point, and we can all just be relaxed and happy again. That's kind of the basis of all this, is just normalcy. But to get there, we just need to mandate masks for a bit. Who knows how long it'll take. But it would be better to take the chance and to mandate it, to take some time and see where this goes. And then, hey, if, like, again, the study shows, but for everybody's sake that might still not believe the words that I'm saying, take some time and see where it goes. If cases are dropping, like the study has shown, but we see more proof of all the cases dropping because of mask mandates, we keep doing it until it's low enough for us to feel secure and safe to take off the mask and go back to normal. Do I think that we need to fully, shut everything down? No, not really. as long as we're following those guidelines. That's the thing, is those guidelines are huge to try to protect us. Because people need to go grocery shopping, people need to go out, people need to go to the doctors. It's not healthy for anybody to be stuck inside. Absolutely, you need to go out and get what you need, but do it safely. Do it with a mask. Do it with, gloves if you need it. At least wash your hands if nothing else. Like, just be cautious. You need to think about others when you're doing this, not just yourself. Mask mandates are for everybody in mind, not just you. We are trying to prevent more deaths, more COVID cases. We're trying to get back to normal. Mask mandate would help.